Well, I just want to talk about a little bit about the upcoming 2016 presidential election, which is actually a ways away, but already the race is happening, and actually it's telling you the climate of what's going on in the country. And also that'll give you a good hint as to where things are going economically. But only the rabbit knows. And a rabbit nose keeps his nose up in the air to try to find out what's going on. But two things that have actually happened recently, though. Well, one is Ted Cruz looks like he's going to be in a presidential campaign, and actually that's a guy I would vote for as a Republican for real. The other one thing is it looks like Hillary Clinton screwed up so damn bad with the email handling, plus their contributions to her, her not being forthright with her contributions that she received from foreign governments, which she shouldn't have received when she was the Secretary of State. She's probably, I don't know. If they got to pick her, she's got a lot of baggage, that's for sure. But it's a matter of when you got these stupid candidates out there, it's like a matter of pick your switchblade, right? I mean, they're all a falling dagger. That's the way it is. I almost look at them like you're trying to catch a falling dagger. Each one of them is going to stab you in the back on their promises and all this other kind of garbage. But, as we walk the road here, let's see where we're going because... the thing is with silver right now, you can see it's spiked up a little bit more. The markets are kind of staying steady. I'm going to tell you one thing, that the game is really rigged with the electronic markets. I know you've been hearing this garbage before, but, the other thing is I know a lot of people like to throw graphs and charts out there with the damn, and I could play that game only when I'm paid to do so, like with a client where I'm, presenting something to a bank or investors or whatever. But common sense goes a hell of a lot more than that, because the thing is, if you're looking at the P&Ls, the profit and loss statements, the net income statements of the miners who are losing money, a lot of the oil companies, you can see there's a lot less oil rigs being put up. Well, they're actually closing down. There's less oil rigs now pumping oil in the United States than there have been in many years. A lot of the companies are starting to fold up, some of the even bigger companies. And, it's almost like the elite are almost like this woman laying in the water here. It's like they think they got it chill. They think they got it all figured out. But, it's almost like they're laying in the water in a pool of sharks, and they don't realize that they're sharks, and that's us, the population, that are going to probably bite them in the butt. Because, when you got a lot of power, this is the deal. I'm going to tell you this. This is where actually there's kind of hope for a lot of stuff, and you don't really need to know what the hell the elite think per se. But this is kind of like a general axiom. When you got a lot of power, you know what you really think? You think so highly of yourself. This is Putin phenomenon too, It's almost like you think so damn highly of yourself, you're engrossed only in what you think. You don't listen to others that much. You think you got all the answers because you're powerful. So in other words, they get too smart for their own selves. And the other thing is, they're also first to act. In other words, when they'll be quick to act, and they may act irrationally because they think they got so much damn power. And they also are like Hillary Clinton, very likely to cheat, which she's done, by deleting those emails, by accepting those, we'll call them bribes. They're not contributions, they're bribes. There'll be payback when she gets in office, if she gets in office, in another office, because of these people that put all the money out to her, like Saudi Arabia and all this type of stuff, the Saudi family. She's not for women's rights. It's a joke. And the more powerful you are, the more you think you're up in an ivory tower. You're absorbed with me. So basically, that's the things that the elite have a problem where it's self-defeating. They're not in with the people. They're like in an ivory tower and they're out of touch. That's actually a problem for them. And they think they're right because they've been right, and that's how they got in that position, but that doesn't mean they're going to be right in the future. Look at the history of Rome. Look what the hell happened, So, this could also be a self-absorbed typical person today that's not actually involved in what the hell's going on in the situation. But, when we're looking at the markets, though, it's almost like total confusion as to what the reality of the situation is and what the numbers are. And I'm going to bring out another point. You know, back in 2008, 2009, when we had the commodities crash, basically in 2008, and in 2009 it was when the final bottom of the equities hit. The recovery has actually been mainly in the Balkan oil reserves, the shale oil industry in the United States, and those are really the numbers that were shoring up the employment numbers, the GDP, and everything else. Now the bottom has fallen out of that due to the oil prices, and they're still telling you the numbers are high. And I'm thinking, voodoo economics. Now I'm not going to display it here, but you know there was one of those original Steve Jackson, I think his name was, the original Illuminati playing card game where they had the voodoo economics. That was one of the original playing cards, and that's exactly what's going on. But you know the numbers are what they are because the silver is actually at whatever the price is today. Like the kid said, it does. It climbed up today. It's actually over, briefly over 17. You know, maybe it's right around 17, which is nothing to freaking scream about. You know, it's got to be up around 50 something. You know, that's what I'm talking. That's what we need. But it is what it is. And you know, me talking about the situation where the numbers are, you know, just a labyrinth of electronic confusion where you got web bots trading with each other to come up with the numbers and it being rigged. It's not going to change the situation when you go to cash. If you were to cash your silver as in, it's exactly what the hell it is. So the situation is, it's not, you know, what it is. You know, it's not what it's going to be. You know, it's not. The reality situation is what it is. In other words, you know, it's like I'm not going to tell you that silver's worth more than it really is numerically on the spot market. I'm just telling you that spot market is bullshit because the demand is there because, you know, the silver miners aren't making the money. They're still got to produce the product. They're losing money, and they're not going to be able to continue like this forever. And that includes the oil industry. And if Iran, if Saudi gets taken out, the whole situation is going to change in a second. Now, the other thing is, a lot of people in the United States got a very short memory. And this is a very short memory about a lot of different things. It could be about what maybe the Hillary Clinton emails by next year. Maybe everybody forget about it. I don't know. Her campaign contributions, and maybe she'll win. I don't really know what the hell's going on exactly. But I'm going to tell you one thing. Besides having a short memory in that, a lot of people are probably going to have a short memory in silver because when it finally does get legs, the same pundits are going to come out beating of drums and fanning the flames, and it could go a hell of a lot higher than it should go to, and that's what I'm thinking. But how high is high? You know, they'll be talking $1,000 silver, $500 silver an ounce, and you know what's going to happen. People are going to forget these are the same people that hoodwinked you last time, you know. So, but for the situation right now, the dollar is king right now, but you know, we're seeing some cracks in the wall on that right now because we saw these major spike ups in the euro because I don't think they can raise interest rates, period. I don't think they can. And if they do, that's going to be the end of the government budget because the debt service is going to be taking up a major slice of the government budget, and they're not going to be being able to add more debt to the budget with interest rates going up. So dollar is king at this freaking very, very moment, but it's not going to be king in the future. It's going to always be worth something, but it's not going to be king in the future. But the deal is, they're, you know, blowing smoke all around us, so we really can't see what the exact situation is because really what we got going on here is voodoo economics. I also want to point out something else. You know, a lot of people are talking about Obama for a third term. Man, that's all bullshit. That ain't going to happen because there's the 22nd Amendment of the Constitution. It's like says you can't have 3 terms. It's like, you know, that's a real cut and dry freaking law. I know they got to deal with the birth certificate. Whether he's got a fake one or not, he produced a fake one, and that's flying, you know, so he's still president, right? But the thing is, I can tell you one thing. A lot of times with all this electronic system that we have, whether it's in the markets and web bots trading with each other to hold the markets up or hold the markets down, it's also the same thing in the political process. You know, I could give you one factoid, but without making an absolute proof. I think the last time when Obama was elected, the election was really definitely rigged. Now, I wasn't a fan of Romney. I actually voted for a third party. But I could tell you one thing. The time before that was McCain versus Obama. McCain is somebody a lot of people wouldn't have liked anyway. And Romney was, had more popularity than McCain. Then after 4 years of Obama, a lot of people were like, a lot of his supporters kind of fell by the wayside. But supposedly, here's the thing I'm getting at, 8 million less Republicans voted in the 2012 election than the 2008. And you know what? That ain't true. If anything, there was probably more of them that turned out. And that kind of tells you that the election was rigged, because if you added in 8 million more Republicans, or actually maybe 10 or 12 more million Republicans, was probably really what it was. You know where the election would have went to? Romney. Not that I even voted for that guy either. I voted third party, but there was less than 1% that voted third party. So, whatever I did was pretty insignificant in the grand scheme of things. So I'm telling you that, the next time things come up, it's the same kind of garbage, but and I'm not sure about Hillary now, because she's got so much damn baggage she might not win. But the other thing is to concentrate more on cats and Catwoman. So the thing is, if you put the bowl of milk out there in front of the population, they will, they're happy. But you know what I'm saying, what I think is coming up, where you're going to see major dissent in, the general population, is when food prices go up. And it may not just be because of the dollar going down, but it probably is due to the weather, global climate change, where we're going into this mini ice age, which they keep saying we're going into global warming. It's affecting the crop production in the Midwest, South Canada, Ukraine, Russia. All the bread baskets of the world are going to have a lot more freezing later in the season, and also at the end of the growing season, later in the winter, and also at the end of the growing season, whereby the crop production window is going to be greatly shortened, and there's going to be a reduced crops, and it's going to bring up the food prices. And as you know, in the United States, the milk bowls are out there through, food assistance, but the numbers aren't going to change for food assistance. What's going to change is the price of the food. And I think that's going to really fan the flames of, dissent in the United States and dissatisfaction. Like I said, the elite, sometimes they think they're so damn powerful that they're up in the, in the clouds, that they can do no wrong, and they take a lot of crazy risks because they're powerful, because they've gotten away with it so long. And then after a period of time, it catches up with them. It gets critical mass. The real biggest danger we got is actually a population that just doesn't give a shit as long as everything's fine in their world. They got their cigarettes, their beer, and their music. Hey, the hell with it. I'm sitting here on the beach. The hell with it. I'm number one, right? That's really 99% of the problem. Until it comes on you, then you worry about it. But I think what's coming up here is that there's a situation where the food prices are going to escalate, not even due to the dollar declining, but due to the climate changes that have been going on. Not global warming, actually global cooling. And that's going to affect, it's almost like reducing the food assistance that millions and millions and millions of Americans have, not by dollar amounts, but by what they can purchase. And that's going to create a lot of dissatisfaction. So, what I'm saying is that, they could be freaking telling you all this stuff about the numbers and all this stuff, but what it really comes down to is if people get hit where it most hurts them, like in food, that is going to actually create a lot of, I guess, civil unrest, civil disobedience and stuff. And that's where, like I said, the elite, they think they got their heads, well, when they're powerful, they think they know everything. They think, they think they're above the law. They could cheat. They're more likely to cheat. They're also fast to act irrationally, too, because they think they got all the answers. The power goes to their head. Now, I'm going to actually tell you, this is actually probably the problem with Putin, too. You know, a lot of people, I don't even dislike this guy, but it irks me that so many people think this guy's like the savior. I'm like, no, he ain't. No, he ain't. People don't get it, man. He's gonna screw up too. He's screwing up already, man. He's screwing up already. But it's like they tell you things like they tell you things people want to hear. It's all a popularity contest. It's all the E channel and all that kind of shit. Even I was a big critic of freaking Ron Paul too, because he talked like he was going to get rid of the Federal Reserve. He talked like he was going to do all this, that, and everything. And then when it came down to when they screwed him out of primary elections and it was obvious, he didn't even fight back. I was thinking, well, if you're not going to fight back there, you're definitely not going to fight if you were given the presidency somehow by 100% vote, you'd be waffling left and right too. You actually need somebody that's a fighter and that's on our side. And I don't know, right now, actually, the only one I would actually go for is Ted Cruz. But I think by that time that situation happens, what's probably going to happen is you're going to see some serious major cracks in the economic system. And we got where we're going to. I mean, I hate to say this, but this is the reality of it. This is the reality what happens, because people are going to wake up to the situation. They got their heads focused in on trivia right now, but when it actually hits home, they wake up to the situation. But there's been so much disparity between the wealthy and the middle class and the poor in this country. It's gotten far more skewed. Actually, even several years ago, it was said that the 1920s, was the time when there was the most wealth disparity between the rich and the poor. It's exceeded that today. As a matter of fact, all the profits are going into the most wealthy. That's what's holding up the markets right now. Actually, well, I'm thinking the markets aren't going to stay up, because that's why I know, even though George Soros lost part of his bet, I think a lot of even the ones you would consider wealthy, you maybe have 20 or 30 or 40 million dollars, and they got money invested in the markets, they're going to get hammered. It's going to be the cream of the cream of the cream, the 1 basis point and the 1 basis point and the 1 basis point that actually comes out on top. But when you have that much disparity between the ultra wealthy and everybody else, it only leads to two conclusions: revolution or war. That's it. And we're probably leading both of them, man. I hate to say it, but that's probably what's going on. So, and when people figure it out eventually, but only the nose knows the exact future. But I could tell you in principle exactly what is going to happen, and it's getting to more critical mass now. They're not going to be able to hold these markets up forever, because, like I said, the energy sector, basically that was the whole thing that was holding up 25% of the S&P, the energy and research and development sector in the United States. It was holding up 25% of the S&P. The bottom dropped out. They did that despite what the major media is telling you. They dropped the bottom out of oil to contain Russia, to hurt them financially. But it's coming back. It's hurting Russia more financially than it is the United States by far. But it's hurting the United States too. And it's going to be, at the numbers, I don't see how they're going to be able to come up with all these voodoo numbers again about, the jobs report and the inflation numbers, and, all the equities are just staying at 18,000, on the Dow and stuff. Yeah, right. It ain't going to continue. No way in hell. They're playing voodoo economics to the max. It's a statement I just made, but I think I told you the reasons why. Again, if you're looking at the profit and loss statements of the miners, not just this, I know silver's a byproduct of copper, and there's a few, not most of the mines that mine silver don't just mine silver, it's copper. But look at Dr. Copper. It's been down it's been hitting a slide for 5 years. That's the real economy. How could they be producing this stuff at a loss? And I know they can go bare bones, no capital expenditures and all this type of stuff. But the thing is, they can't do that forever. And the thing is, if there's not much demand for these industrial metals, especially like copper, they could call it Dr. Copper for a reason. If there's not much demand for it, what does it mean? It means that the economy sucks because copper is widely used in construction, industry, materials of every type of sort, electrical wiring, then you name it. And if the demand is down, well, it's down for all the commodities. The only one that's going to be up is food, and that largely is due to what? The population's not shrinking. The population has to eat, and on top of that, the crazy super cold winters that we just had, for the most part, not in California. California's been hot and dry, and not in Alaska, but for most of the world, on average, it was a lot colder and by extreme amount. Frosts have been hitting much later. They're going to hit much later in the season. They're probably going to come much earlier. It's going to affect food production. That's going to be one commodity that's up. Actually, Jim Rogers is going to be right about that. Probably he just thought it because the aging demographics of the farmer, but it's going to be other reasons too. But that's leaving the whole situation ripe for a revolt, basically. And like I said, the elite are so much into themselves. They think, since they got powerful, they don't listen to anybody except them. That's Putin. That's one of them. It's one. I could see that with that guy. He's his own hero. And I don't dislike the guy. I'm telling you. I can tell you it's what he's about. He's his own hero, man. I don't even hate the guy or nothing. People don't misread when I say this stuff about him. He's like, people don't realize he's full of it, man. And then if you're powerful, you think you got the answers. You're quick to act. You freaking go run with the ball because I know, I'm number one, And you try to cheat. You try to game the system and stuff, and it basically catches up with people, and they're not in with people. They're all isolated, right? They're isolated. So, ripe for revolution. What the hell do you think happened in, France, right? King Louis XIV, right? What happens? Read Roman history. How many times did it happen where the elite thought they had it all figured out? Yeah, man. They had it figured out right up to the end. That's exactly what happens. That's exactly what happens. So, I'm kind of telling people stick with your investment, but, it's not the only thing you got to stick with. You got to remember that hands-on entrepreneurial work, doing things on your own is really the thing to get through what's going on today. Because voodoo economics isn't going to cut it, because somebody actually does the work. And it sure as hell ain't the elite. They're a bunch of useless eaters. The only thing they got is this toilet paper cash. As long as it buys something, fine. But, at one point in time, even the goods that it buys are coming from where? China. Except this kid, I try to buy USA. So, anyway, just want to give you a little bit of a hodgepodge update from a different angle. And, we'll see what's going on here in the future. But it looks like, they're going to continue to freaking blow smoke on everybody. That's all they've been doing. The prices of silver should be much higher than they are. I think when they go up, they're going to go way higher than they should be. And like I said, don't forget about the same yo-yos out there that were pushing the $500 silver, $1,000 silver, $300 silver, $2,000 silver. They're going to be out there in waves when this metal starts going up. And everybody's going to forget that these are the same yo-yos that let everybody off the cliff the last time. I wasn't one of them. I wasn't one of the people telling people that shit. I was mocking the $500 silver shit. The only way that's going to happen is if the USA got blown up by a bunch of nukes or something and the whole system went to freaking kablooey and a dollar didn't mean anything. Then it don't matter, But, under normal circumstances, that ain't going to happen. Because every single person out there that's a miner is going to be a multi-millionaire inside of no time flat if the price of silver went up that high. And it ain't going to be that freaking, they ain't going to get that rich that quick. I'll guarantee you that. Not all of them, that's for sure. Only the pumpers. And I'm not one of them. So, I'm offering sound, rational advice. And I never told everybody to, invest all your money in silver. I never said that shit. God, never. Never, 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 never. So anyway, 2016 should be interesting. I'm wondering about Hillary Clinton. She's going to make it to 2016. I don't know. Yeah, maybe they'll give her an aneurysm or something. She'll just, do one of those things like Whitney Houston. Like they probably killed her, right? She said something they didn't like. And, that's what's going to happen with Hillary, If she's out of the picture, then you don't have to worry about her, right? The elite might just get rid of her, too, along with Bill. Maybe they're becoming liabilities. Because when you play the game with the devils, man, sometimes it comes back at you, right? Ain't that the way it works? Cosa Nostra.